We're in the month of Elul, so I'm going to stay with the theme of Elul, picking up where we left off last week. Today, I want to talk about removing the scars that cloud the present. Scars that cloud the present. Self-examination is not about endlessly revising our failures or our wounds from the past. It's about allowing the Lord to reveal what from the past is still influencing how we see, how we trust, how we forgive, and how we relate to people today in the present. So Elul calls us to look inward. Psalm 139, 23 and 24, where David writes, "Search me, O God, and know my heart." The important point is that David doesn't merely ask God to show him what others are doing wrong. He invites God to search him. Before I ask God to change my brother, or my sister, or my spouse, or my congregation, or my circumstances, Elul asks me to let God search me. And there is a distinction between conviction and condemnation. Very important distinction between conviction and condemnation. The Holy Spirit reveals wounds so that we can be healed, not so we can live under them all our lives. Yesterday's wounds can become today's filters. The root of bitterness is particularly powerful in this subject. Past betrayal or rejection, disappointment, offense, or conflict can become a lens through which we interpret present relationships. It clouds our judgment. Someone can say something innocent, but because of what happened years ago, we hear something hostile. Someone can fail us once, and suddenly we expect everyone to fail us. Someone can disagree with us, and we interpret disagreement as rejection. The problem isn't necessarily what is happening now. Sometimes we are responding to what happened in the past. Sometimes we're not seeing people as they are, we're seeing them through the scars of what happened to us. So Elul is a month to seek healing. A scar is evidence of healing, but it can still affect us. This is an important nuance. We don't have to pretend that painful things never happen. Biblical healing isn't denial. Joseph remembered what his brothers did to him. David remembered betrayal. Paul remembered persecution. And even our Messiah's resurrected body bore the marks of crucifixion. The goal isn't necessarily to erase the memory. You're always going to have your memories. The goal is that the memory no longer controls our present relationships. Joseph said to his brothers, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." They hated their brother. They sold him into slavery. Came back and told their dad he's dead. They meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Joseph didn't deny the evil, but he refused to allow the evil done to him to determine the good that he would do to others. So we have to distinguish between discernment and suspicion. Healing doesn't mean becoming naive. We can forgive someone and still have wisdom. We can love someone without giving them unlimited access to hurt us. We can recognize someone's weaknesses without defining that person by those weaknesses. Forgiveness says, "I release the debt." And wisdom says, "I've learned from the experience." But bitterness says, "I will make everyone else pay for what someone else did." It just doesn't make sense, but it's what we do, isn't it, if we get bitter? Messiah calls us beyond individual healing into corporate maturity. In Ephesians chapter 4. In fact, let's read that. I need a Bible handy. The scriptures. That's how you find it. Galatians, Ephesians chapter 4. "I call upon you, therefore, I, the prisoner of the Master, to walk worthily of the calling with which you were called, with all humility and meekness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, being eager to guard the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace." One body, one spirit, goes on to say. Verses 15 and 16. "Maintaining the truth in love, we grow up in all respects unto him who is the head, Messiah, from whom the entire body, joined and knit together by what every joint supplies, according to the working by which each part does its share, causes growth of the body for the building up of itself in love." Okay, Paul says we are to speak the truth in love, and that the whole body grows as every part does its work. That means spiritual maturity isn't simply becoming a healthier individual. It means becoming someone who contributes to the health of the whole, the health of the body. So we need to ask ourselves a few things. Am I making the body stronger or weaker? Do my words bring healing or suspicion? Do I assume the best or do I assume the worst? Can I receive correction without being defensive? Can I correct someone without humiliating? them? Can I disagree with someone without dividing from them? Am I carrying an old offense into a new relationship? These are good questions to ask to find healing. Growing together for the good of all is what we need to be doing. The body doesn't grow because every member becomes identical. It grows because different members learn to function together in their individual tasks and giftings. 1 Corinthians 12, Paul talks about the body and all the parts. Hand doesn't have to become an eye. The eye doesn't have to become an ear. The members don't have to compete with one another. They need one another. Maturity is not when everybody becomes like you or me. Maturity is when I can love and honor people who are different from me while we pursue Messiah together. In Galatians, Paul writes, bear one another's burdens. Galatians 6. Bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Messiah. So Elul ultimately prepares us for reconciliation. Elul traditionally points us toward teshuvah, which is to turn. Turning, returning, coming back. We aren't simply asking, what have I done wrong? We're asking, where have I gotten off course in my relationship with God and with others, with His people? What am I carrying from yesterday that God is asking me to drop, to leave behind before I go into tomorrow? So let's take a moment. Let's take a moment to pray. I want to pray Psalm 139. Seems to be the verses of Elul, right? This comes up. We're looking at verses 20 to 24. Search me, God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. And see if an idolatrous way is in me. And lead me in the way everlasting. Let's just take a moment. I want to take a moment and ask a few questions that we should be asking the Lord. Is there a wound I'm still allowing to interpret my relationships? Lord, is there someone I have reduced to their past mistakes? Is there someone that I need to forgive? Or someone I need to ask forgiveness from? Lord, is there a relationship where I need wisdom rather than suspicion? And what would it look like for me to contribute to the healing and unity of the body? So again, in Ephesians 4, Paul says, speaking the truth in love, that we may grow up in all things unto Him who is the head, the Messiah. So Elul has a beautiful message for us. Elul is not merely examine yourself. Elul becomes examine, release, forgive, heal, reconcile, and grow. And that's how you grow. Ultimately, Lord, remove whatever my past is preventing me from loving your people well into the present. Whatever from my past is preventing me from loving your people properly.